Hello friends, welcome back to the Casual Foodist. I'm Brianna and we are at the start of holiday baking season, which of course means cookies. Today we are going to make a fun twist on one of the most classic holiday cookies. We are making gingerbread latte cookies. These cookies are soft, buttery, filled with all those warm gingerbread spices, and they are going to be perfect for your Christmas cookie platter. Let's get started. Of course, these cookies are going to have flour, butter, sugar, and they're going to have both white sugar and brown sugar. But I want to take a moment to highlight a few of the ingredients that are going to make these cookies extra special. First, we're going to have molasses, and this is going to give our cookies a deep, rich caramel flavor that is signature of any gingerbread cookie. And of course, the hallmark of any gingerbread cookie is the spices, and I've got cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and cloves here. And then we're going to amp up these cookies with a generous dose of espresso powder. I like this brand from Delalo. I can find it in several different supermarkets where I live, and it's pretty affordable. King Arthur also makes a great version that is specifically designed for use in baked goods. So espresso powder you can also use for making tiramisu. I've used it in my espresso chocolate chip cookies and even my coffee barbecue sauce. But enough chatting, let's go ahead and start making these cookies. Melted butter melting in this saucepan, and I've got it over medium heat. While this is melting, we'll take a moment to talk about the rest of our ingredients that we're going to add at this point. I've got a 1/4 cup of espresso powder, and we're going to add this to the warm melted butter so that the espresso powder dissolves and we get that rich coffee flavor all throughout our cookies. And then we've got our gingerbread spices. I've got 2 teaspoons of ground ginger. Of course, they're gingerbread, so we're going to go pretty heavy with the ground ginger. And then I've got 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. They're pretty strong, so you don't need a lot. Our butter is almost melted. We just need a few more seconds here. And we're going to add in our espresso powder. And again, we've got 1/4 cup there. And then our gingerbread spices, we've got 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. And we're just going to whisk this all together. And we're going to whisk this for about a minute or two, or until everything has dissolved and incorporated. That way we get all of our flavors in every single cookie. Now we're just going to go ahead and add in that butter mixture to this large bowl. And then we've got 3/4 cup of granulated white sugar, 3/4 cup of dark brown sugar. You could also use light brown sugar if that's what you got. A 1/4 cup of molasses. And this is going to give our cookies just a really rich, deep caramel flavor. 1 large egg. And then 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Then we're just going to whisk this all together. And we want to make sure that the sugars and that egg get nice and incorporated in here. With the molasses and then those spices and the espresso powder, this is smelling amazing. Everything looks like it's all together there. I've got 1 teaspoon of baking soda and then also 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. We're just going to sprinkle that in there and give it a good stir. Last but not least, we've got 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And then we're just going to whisk this until everything has just come together. This batter's starting to get nice and thick, and a little bit of a workout here. But still, all in all, a pretty easy cookie recipe. Our batter has come together, so now we are just going to pop it in the refrigerator to chill for at least 2 hours. Or if you're prepping ahead, you can chill this up to overnight. This is a pretty important step for 2 reasons. Chilling the dough keeps your cookies from spreading out too much and getting that big, messy, one flat cookie monstrosity that sometimes happens. Also, chilling the dough allows the flour to properly hydrate, and this is going to give you a chewy, soft cookie, and personally, those are my favorite kind of cookies. So, go put this in the fridge, and we'll be back in a little bit. Got a 1 ounce cookie scoop here. This is going to be about 2 tablespoons, and we are just going to scoop out a little ball here. Roll it around so it's nice and even. And then we're going to just give it a little roll in some granulated sugar. And I've got about 1/3 of a cup of just plain white sugar here. If you want to get fancy, you could use some cane sugar, demerara sugar, or even some sanding sugar. We are just going to spread these cookies out about 2 inches apart to give them some room to grow. And this batch makes about 2 dozen cookies, so you're going to need 2 baking sheets lined with parchment paper. And just rolling out these cookies, I can already smell the coffee and those gingerbread spices. I am so excited for these. These guys are ready for the oven. Again, we're going to bake these at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. I've got my first batch of cookies cooling over here, and they smell absolutely amazing. While they're cooling, I'm going to go ahead and make the glaze. And if you want to serve these cookies as is, no glaze, they are absolutely delicious. But it's the holidays, so we're going to go a little extra here. I have 1/2 teaspoon of our espresso powder, and we are just going to add about a tablespoon of water. Just go stir that together just to dissolve that espresso powder. I've got 1 cup of powdered sugar. And then we're going to add in our little espresso mixture here. And 1 tablespoon of milk. And you may need an extra tablespoon just to get the desired consistency. Sometimes powdered sugar can end up a little on the thick side. But this is coming together pretty nicely. And we are just going to give our cookies a nice little drizzle. And these cookies are smelling absolutely fantastic. All right, we got that last cookie here. And then I'm just going to let the glaze set for about 5 minutes. So our cookies are all done. I think these are the perfect cookies for Christmas Eve to leave out for Santa or for Santa's helpers. Santa's got a lot of deliveries to make that night, and the caffeine from the espresso will give him a big boost to make sure he gets all the presents out on time. Last thing, of course, we need to give one of these cookies a try. The perfect mix of coffee and those gingerbread spices. This cookie is crisp on the outside, chewy in the middle, just the way I like them. And then a little bit more coffee from that sweet glaze on top. These are going to be perfect for the holiday season. You guys are going to love them. You can find a link to the full recipe below or at casualfoodist.com. And be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Casual Foodist for more recipes like this.